Okay, please turn on the hot water if you don't mind to. Welcome to another Tuesday night shiur. If you're hungry, please take more food. Don't be shy. This shiur should be Nishmat Adina Angela Bat. May her neshama have an aliyah for all the brachot that's being said and all the shiur that's being recorded and watched should go for her aliyat neshama. Amen. Okay. This week is the week of Hazak, Vinit Hazak. I know the Sfaradim don't have such a big thing about it. Ashkenazim talk a lot about it. What does that mean? Hazak, Vinit Hazak. We're finishing the book of Bereshit. And hopefully next week we are going into the book of Shemot, not Shemais. Shemot. V'al titosh Torat imecha, right? Halacha. You cannot forget your customs, right? Okay, sorry for being a little bit harif, but you can handle it. Now, before we talk about Shemot, and that's a whole sugya on its own, let's talk about a little bit Parashat Vayichi. That's this week's parasha, and something that I think we all, something that should be very familiar to us, but yet we brush it off. Let's run through the story of Yosef. Let's do a rundown. Ben, turn on the hot water. I don't think it's on. Thank you. Yosef is beloved by Yaakov Avinu, and it's publicly shown. You know, as much as we don't like to admit it, but every child, there's always that one child that the parent shows more love or more favor or is more lenient to, and all the kids get jealous. They might not say it, but they'll eat themselves inside. Right, and they'll say when they grow up, oh, you loved him or her more, a whole bunch of nonsense, right? They didn't grow up yet from that, but so they still have pain inside. But we won't talk about that. And the Shvatim, the brothers of Yosef, saw this, and it says that they got jealous, you can say, and Yosef said Lashon Hara about them. It wasn't really Lashon Hara, whatever the case was. The brothers took him and sold him. You want us to sell your brother? I want you guys to fathom this. As much as you might hate your brother or your sister or whoever it is, you gotta have a different pair to take your own flesh and blood and sell him. That's unbelievable. Okay, so they sold him. He ends up in Mitzrayim. And where is he in Mitzrayim? Tell Johnny to close his music outside. What does he do in Mitzrayim? Where does he end up? In Sar? Whose house? Sarah? Potiphar, Sar Tabachim, right? Potiphar. He goes in, and we all know the Midrash that Potiphar was a little to the left. He wasn't a straight man. He was a little bit off. Really? Yes. That's why he picked Yosef, because Yosef was beautiful. He wanted to always look at him. And his wife was the same thing. Imagine a husband and wife both have the same ta'ala for the same man. It's a bit sick. We're not going to get into it. It's even more. What's even more amazing is that their daughter that they adopted ended up marrying Yosef. So imagine the daughter is living with Yosef, and the father-in-law and mother-in-law like Yosef. But we're not going to get into that and get into the fantasies, right? But we're going to talk about the reality. The reality is Yosef goes and was accused by his master's wife for almost physically forcing himself on her, and she did a whole chokhmah and how she did it. We're not going to get into it, but if you want to learn how, the Yalkut Mamle says exactly what tools and utensils she used, so it should look like it was an actual force. He ends up in prison, now not like these American prisons. I told you last week, right? I think it was last week or 2 weeks, there's a group of people that bail out people in jail. They bail them out. But only if they did not a severe crime and if it's very little. And one time they bailed one guy out, and the guy comes out of jail, and he's screaming. He's saying, "Why did you bail me out?" He's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "I had free insurance. I had a bed to sleep. Now I'm homeless. I have nothing to do here. Put me back in jail." Right? But Yosef didn't go to an American jail. He went to an Egyptian jail. Rats, mice, rape, murder. They didn't care. You were nobody. He ended up there for 12 years. 12, not 1 year. Your mother screams at you and puts you down, you're already crying. You never have the trauma for the rest of your life. This, 12 years, he was in a jail for the love of 12 years. Okay, he gets out of the jail, it's all good. He goes, he says the interpretations of Yosef, of Paro. Paro puts him the head of Mitzrayim. He's there for 7 years, the head, right? And then who does he see? He sees his brothers. He sees his brothers, he gets emotional. He gets all like unmanly, and he starts to cry, and he says, I want to see my brother, and how's my father doing? And he plays his brothers like a dreidel. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Until, at the beginning of last week's parasha, he reveals that he is Yosef. In the beginning of this week's parasha, we're not going to get into it. I want to get into the last part of this parasha, which I think is very much looked like there's not enough information about it. Yaakov Avinu passes away. He blesses his sons. Yaakov Avinu passes away. Is the water ready? Just check the thing. Yaakov Avinu passes away. And now the brothers are in a bit of a pickle, as they say. Why? Before Yaakov Avinu passed away, they knew that Yosef would never do anything. He will never take revenge. He'll always act positive. But now that Yaakov Avinu passed away, Yosef has no one to fear. Not only doesn't he have anyone to fear, he's the ruler of Mitzrayim. With just a snap of his fingers, his brothers will be in jail. It's all done. A coffee. 2 cups of 2 spoons and 1 spoon. Actually, 1 and 1 do. Right?
Was Joseph the head of the Avlot after?
Head of?
The Avlot.
Yes, he was. But we're not going to get into that right now. And what happens? Let's get into the words of the parasha. And they came to Yosef, and they said to Yosef, listen, we know we did you dirty. We did you dirty. And our father told us to come to you and to plead for forgiveness. And what does Yosef answer to them? So beautiful. Yosef answers to them and says, you don't see what you did? What you did was good. Wow. All the pain that I have endured during this time was really for the benefit and not for the negative. All the problems and the people I had to meet and the tests I had to go through and the people that accused me, that was really for my benefit. Don't think for a second what you did, it was you. Rather, it was God that put me here. It wasn't you. You have nothing to do with this. You know, Rav Akiva, he has a famous sentence. What does it say? Kol man derachmana avid letav avid. Everything that God does to me, He does for my benefit. He had a Rebbe. Who was his Rebbe? One of his Rebbeim? Rav Nachum Ish Gamzu. What does Rav Nachum Ish Gamzu always said? He used to say Gamzu letovah. What is the difference? Gamzu letovah means that even this that you think is bad, it's also good. Bad doesn't exist in this world. 1 second. I gotta explain this. This is a very lofty concept.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's not that it's tough. I want you first to understand it. You're not understanding it. You're judging it.
Sorry.
Understand the phrase. Bad doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Bad was created for us to look at everything in a positive lens. Maharai, what's the proof to this? Because when something negative or something that looks negative that happens to us in our personal lives, it's only happening to us for us to learn from it, not from us to run away from it. Our human nature teaches us that if something bad happens to you, you have to right now excommunicate and run away. Lehefech, it's the exact opposite. You have to take that hardship that you're going through and you have to ask yourself, what can I learn from this moment? What is this trying to teach me? Why is my life in a shambles? Why did I grow up in this kind of life setting? Why am I experiencing these certain pains? It has to be that I'm supposed to become better from it. And there are two kinds of people. There's a person that goes through trauma and blames the world for it, the whole world, everybody. But he'll never look at himself in the mirror and say, maybe I have to work on myself. And there's another kind of person that has all the problems that happen to him, and he'll say, I'll own it, I'll accept it, and I'll learn from it. You know, we are in one of the most healthiest but unhealthiest generations on planet Earth. I'll explain to you why. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyah bidvaro. Thank you. Why are we in the most healthiest and unhealthiest? And I'll tell you why. Came out a study, I think it was Columbia University did this study. It's called generational trauma. Is trauma inherited or is it created?
Both of them.
1 second. Don't rush the gun.
I think it's created.
Well, I never asked you. That's the difference. Let's listen. Yoshua, listen.
Created or what?
What is it created or inherited? You know what the difference is? Let's say if someone has pain and he didn't fix the pain, does that same pain go to his kids? Even though they never experienced it? Or not?
Depends on
An extent.
Okay, 1 second. I didn't ask you. It's a theoretical. The Rabbi side. Relax.
Depends.
Calm down.
Depends what type of person you are.
The study came out. It's proven that trauma is, for the most part, it's inherited. It's something that gets carried down through generation. So why is this important? Because this generation specifically is the healing generation. You know why there are so many screw-ups? Or quote-unquote screw-ups, I don't believe in that, right? Is because before this generation, everyone knew how to just eat it and live with the pain or the issues that they had in hand. They lived with it. So what? It's part of life. You shut your mouth and you continue living, right? How many times you heard that from your parents? This is life. Deal with it. Go by turn life. We, on the other hand, are learning how to break that. What does that mean? I'm not taking any more excessive pain that has been carried down through generation to generation to generation. So how do you fix that?
Break the cycle.
How? It's very easy. Break the cycle. No, how? How do I do that? Lemaisa, how do I do it? Lemaasa, how do I do it?
Make different choices.
What does that mean? What's a different choice? Is a different choice meaning doing the exact opposite of what you were told to do? That's a different choice.
Find out what's the choice and do the opposite.
I'm going to explain to you what's the difference. What you have to do different than the last generations, what they did different. The last generations, they accepted everything because they thought this is the way life is. I can't change it. We have to learn to accept it and learn from it. The only difference than the past and the present is we're going to still experience the same thing. You're going to experience it. You're not going to run away from it. But what's the difference? Are you going to learn from it and do better from it? Or are you going to just take it and sulk about it for the rest of your life? That's the only difference. We as human beings have to learn that all of our experiences in our life are just a lesson curve in order for us to become better human beings. and not the exact opposite. The problem is when we take all those pains that we had in our life and we don't look at it in a big picture. We look at it in a very small picture. So we blame the world. Every single person that ever existed will blame them. But that's the problem. We're not supposed to. We're supposed to take it and embrace it. Your pain in your life is your greatest gift. It's the greatest gift you can ever have. I'm answering your question. That's why we don't need to talk after this. Your pain that you have is the greatest gift. Why? Because that pain made you who you are. Now here's the question. Now that you have it, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to learn from it to become better? To improve? Stop blaming? Stop being frustrated? And do what's right? Because it's right and not because other people tell you to do what's right? I have a friend, a very close friend of mine. He grew up in a very religious house. Very. One day, he decided his life's not for me. It happened. Correct? Right? And he didn't throw it all away, but he said at a certain time of his life, he's gonna toodles. But then, right? But then, he met a man that explained to him that Torah mitzvot is not so chitzoni. It's not so dark. Unfortunately, we were raised, especially in this community in the past generation, that everything is either yes, no, no questions, this is the way it is, and this is what you have to do. There was no life, right? Going to shul wasn't. It wasn't an exciting thing, right? It was a forceful thing, right? Learning your bar mitzvah parsha wasn't an exciting thing. It was a forceful thing, right? I don't want to get to everyone's trauma. Being tzanua wasn't something that they introduced to you in a positive. They said you have to do it. They get scared of you. Oh, you're gonna burn in hell. All this stuff they're gonna say, right? The whole 9 yards, right?
How do you do?
One second, right? Everything that was introduced to us was not. A lot of things were introduced with excitement. But it wasn't excitement for the thing, it was the excitement of the result. Do good, why? Because everyone's gonna go, wow. Do good, why? Because you're gonna get a good husband or a good wife. It was never because this one makes me feel good. And the truth is, if you're not doing Torah mitzvot because it makes you feel good, you're missing something. And you know what you're missing? The understanding of why you're even doing it. We're not doing it because we want to put a check on a checklist. Going to daven shacharit micharvit, being tzanua, and everything that we do in our life is not do it just because not to go to hell. Because if you're doing it for that, you're actually in hell. You're mamish in hell. You just don't even realize it. Or you realize it, you just don't know how to admit it. So how do I take myself? Someone once told me, what is hell and what's Gan Eden? It's sitting and listening to a teacher with no clock. The person that likes to learn is going to enjoy. The person that doesn't like to learn is going to want to take a gun and shoot himself. I'm done. Khalas, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. That's what it is. The same thing. Nothing's going to change. Whatever's supposed to happen to you in your life is going to happen. It's going to happen. The question is, how are you going to accept it?
So there's no point of worrying.
Are you going to... You said it. But that's a different topic. How are you going to accept it? You're going to put the tefillin because you're late to shul, you're running, you're half dilapidated, you slept late, you're running, it's freezing outside, you don't know which minyan, you're putting up, okay, I daven, Rabbi, what do you want from me? Look, don't say I daven. That's not the point of davening. Who are you lying to? Who are you tricking here? You're tricking yourself. You're a tipesh, tupoi. Simple, black and white idiot. Who are you lying to? Who are you? You're lying to who? Yourself. So what happens? You'll have kids. And all over again. But you know what the difference is now? Unfortunately, we live in such a chutzpah generation, your kids will call you out on it. That's the difference. Back in the day, if you dared call your parents out, they'd rock you. He went like this. I'm talking about like this, right? They'd rock you down. You'd be, all right, hockey stick. Let's not get back to the old days, right? They'd knock you out cold. When you're gonna have kids, you're not gonna do that. You live in a different generation. They'll call you out, but you don't like to do it. Why are you forcing me to do it? What are you going to say? Mommy, you're not Sanua. Why are you making me be Sanua? Daddy, why? Oh, because it's good for you. Well, if it's good for me, it should be good for you. So why don't you do it? It's not that they're doing it because they're chutzpah. They're doing it because you're their role model. And if their role model is showing them a double standard life, then what's going to be with the child? He's going to be confused. You're making your child into a bipolar child. So he knows how to act in front of mommy and daddy. He knows how to act in front of his siblings. He knows how to act in front of his friends. He knows how to act in front of his principal. That you basically created the biggest con person in the world. So how do you break that? You have to start enjoying doing the Torah mitzvot. How do you do that?
So hard. Enjoy.
I'll explain to you how to do it. When you stop focusing on the punishment and start focusing on the reward. Now, not reward of heaven, of a place that none of us ever saw. I'm not talking about that. That's not why you should do mitzvot. You should do mitzvot because statistically, a person that does it with a sense of happiness, he feels more accomplished. He doesn't feel empty. Most people, you know what they dread? Shabbos. You know why they dread Shabbos? Because Shabbos table was always a war zone. It was just always a war zone. It's like hell all over again. I speak to people all the time. They're like, we hate Shabbos. Like, why? Because the second Shabbos starts, it's really World War II. It's just the way it is. Parents fighting, siblings fighting. They're fighting over nonsense. Food and things are not set proper and the dishes are... Who cares? That's not Shabbat. That's a show. That's a show and tell. Show and tell is not Judaism. That's different religion. We're here to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In order to do that, we have to realize that everything is from Him. Everything. Every problem you think that you have is not really a problem. The problem is the cure to your answer. Oh, why I went through such traumatic stages? Why? I can't answer you why. I'm not God. The question is, what did you learn from it? What kind of human being did that make you? How can you publicize and help others with this issue? That's what you have to ask yourself. If you're always going to be asking yourself why, you're never going to grow. You're always going to be stagnant in one position of the rest of your life. And that's not point of life. And who can we learn this from? Yosef HaTzadik. He went through hell and back, Rabotai. You wouldn't be able to stand going to an American jail for 24 hours. The guy was in the Egyptian jail for 12 years. And he was a pretty boy. You know he's a pretty boy? He was a good-looking guy. I never saw him, but I can just imagine, right?
Yeah.
He was a good-looking guy. And he was there with all the men, those big, gorilla, disgusting men. And he was there, and he just survived, and he said, this is Miyad Hashem. 12 years! For what? He went to jail for being a pretty boy. How about that? That's why he went to jail.
Alright, nobody ever tried
Now,
to do things.
hey, the Midrash doesn't talk about it, so it's irrelevant.
Why is it irrelevant? It's important.
No, it's not important.
Jail's like.
No, it's not important. You know how we know it's not important?
It's not
Because it's not inside. If it would be important, it would be inside.
I just don't want to talk about that.
No, it's not important. It talks about other stuff. And we're going to get into that right now. The Zohar HaKadosh says that not only did Yosef forgive his brothers, he showed them such a love. What does it say in last week's parasha? 2 weeks ago. He stuffed their bags with so much food and he put the money. Wait, these guys sold you, Habibi. What are you giving them food for? Let them die. Let them go back to their father's house, say, he thinks we're spies, and that's it. End of story. No food. Zero food. He didn't do that. He said, they're my brothers. Regardless of what happened to me, I know it's from Hashem. And he gave them. And he gave them. And he didn't stop. And he gave them. We have to understand that we think we have enemies. Those people were only put on this earth to give you a sense of awakening. and a sense of understanding. The funniest thing is when two people fall in love, and then after they get married, they start to despise each other. How does that make sense? Right? You wanted marriage. Here you go.
Get sick of each other.
Right? How is this possible? Two people, I know many of them, they fought to be together. They fought with blood and tears, right? Blood and tears, and they got it at the end. How come right away after the marriage, things start to fall apart?
They get comfortable.
Didn't you fight for this?
Comfortable.
You fought for this.
Love blind.
What happened? How come it's falling apart?
You think they
The
got
spark is gone.
No, there was no love to begin with.
So what was it?
Love doesn't exist. Love is an illusion of Hollywood.
Thank you.
It doesn't exist. So what exists? I'll explain to you. I know, I'm not popping anyone's bubble. I'm going to explain to you what this is. The word ahava means to unify, to make something into one. Until a man and a wife cannot understand that they are really one of the same coin, they will never grow. They will never love. They don't even understand what that means. You have to understand that you and her is the same person doing two different jobs, aiming for the same goal. That's what it is. The reason why most people crack is because they think it's me and her doing A, B, C, and D. No, there's us doing A, B, C, and D. That's why when people tell me, I dated her for so many years, I say, yeah, the same way how you dated her so many years, count the days, because I'll tell you when you're going to divorce her. Because it's all BS. It's nonsense. It's fluff. It's clouds and it's rainbows. That's why we have so many rainbow people. That's what it is. It's nonsense. True ahava only comes in a time of disaster. Only. Because until there is no disaster, you can't see the person's real unity. You can't see how the real person is working. I don't like to say the real colors. No, that's nonsense. That's also a new thing, an American thing. You know how you saw Yosef's true colors? You know? After his father passed away. He could have easily tossed them. Easily. Say, get out of here. You don't belong here. What did he say? Don't think it was you. It was God that did everything. Has nothing to do with you. You don't exist and I don't exist. The only thing that exists is God. It happens to be that I was his messenger. It happens to be that you were also his messenger. But I should hate you because you did the will of God? I'm not going to hate you. Look what happened. He only did that for me to be here. And what did Yosef fix? Let's go a little bit into Kabbalah, a little bit. What did Yosef fix? There's 288 sparks. Yosef fixed 200 on his own. You know what that means?
Sparks of one.
Of Kedusha that fell in the Klippa. I'm going to give you a small brief. I know most people won't understand this, but when Adam Rishon sinned, he was in the river of Gihon for how many years? 120 years. He was in the river. He wanted to do tshuva. He stuck his head until the river, and he was inside the water for 120 years. And over there, unfortunately, certain averot happened, and those averot that he thought he was doing good came into 288 sparks that ended up in Mitzrayim. Why Mitzrayim? Because it says To'avat haaretz. What did Yosef tell his brothers? Well, you know where I ended up? I ended up in the most disgusting country in the world. The I don't want to say this, but the earliest recorded condoms came from Egypt. You know that, right? The earliest recorded of zima, of disgusting relations, is recorded, you know where? In Mitzrayim. It wasn't recorded anywhere else. Yosef says, you know where you put me? You put me in the dirt of the dirt.
I thought it was the time of Noah.
The first recorded that we have nowadays.
No, I'm not talking about condoms. I'm saying like they would sleep with no. They
Yes, they would do all these kinds of things. But the most thing that we have recorded is in the time of in the place of Mitzrayim. And it's an amazing thing, because as we look at the story of yourself, you have to ask yourself, where am I in my life? Am I playing Yosef, or am I playing or I'm not playing Yosef? Where am I? We have to ask ourselves this all the time. You can't just listen to an inspirational speech and leave and say, oh, it was nice. That doesn't help. That's why I hate doing these speeches. I hate it. Why? Toughness, work. At the end of the day, you're going to leave these doors, right? What are you taking home? Are you going to take anything positive? Are you going to start to realize that regardless of how you feel, God forbid you go, you leave, you get hurt. You have to understand that you right now got hurt. That's a positive thing. That's not a negative thing. At the moment it feels bad. Why? Well, you have to ask yourself, not why in that sense, but what are you trying to teach me? I want to learn. Open, pokeach ivri. When you say this in Berachot HaShachar, you know what kavanah you have to say? You know what you have to have in your mind? Not that I can see. Hashem, make me be able to see what is unclear to me in my life. Open my eyes that I can see and not judge. How do we say Berachot HaShachar? I'm done. This wasn't Berachot HaShachar. Who are you lying to? Who are you lying to? You have to, on getting this idea stuck to you, this Avodat HaKodesh, means to always hafoch ba'afoch ba'afoch. What's a tzaddik?
He falls down but keeps getting back up.
A tzaddik is a person that never falls down. Because that thing that you think is falling down, he looks at it as not as going down,
Step.
but another way going up.
But really, technically, it's
We, on the other hand, no, it's not. No, it's not. We look at it as falling down and going back up. Falling down and going back. For him, that fall is not going down. It's just going up. Because he doesn't look at it initially as a negative thing. Initially, he already looks at it as a positive thing.
Okay, you miss a shiur, you feel guilty. That's negative. Give an example.
The outcome is that next time you're going to be more machbet to make to the
I
shiur.
like that one.
Okay, but
What's a positive thing? That you felt the whole week you missed a shiur, you felt bad. So now I know never to miss it. But not to now, oh, I didn't miss it. I missed last week when it was this week. I didn't do this, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'll go in 10 weeks from now. No. That's called taking your problems and just sulking about it for the rest of your life. Like children, no? 50, 60-year-olds that get divorced, they were married for 40 years. Like, well, what happened? You became majnoon a little bit? You become crazy? You're okay? No, they just didn't grow up. Or how my Rebbe says, they were never married to begin with. They shared the same bed, but they were never really married. Because what's marriage? Working together. That's marriage. And they never did that. So if they never did that, they were never married. It's not hard.
no, I mean like it's like tough. Like it's like a slang I'm saying.
Any questions before I go on to the next segment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So is it still considered a mitzvah of marriage if it's not considered a marriage?
Is it considered a mitzvah?
Because it's a mitzvah to be married.
Correct.
Yeah. So
You're doing the mitzvah of marriage, but you're not married. Which means that you are married.
How's that the mitzvah?
Oh, wait one. You're married halachically, but you're not experiencing a real marriage if you're not doing it properly. Which means working on each other. Stop blaming each other. Focusing on the positive of each other. Not being defenseful when you're getting into an argument. That's the biggest problem. Everyone starts to be defensive. Don't be defensive. Criticize me, but don't criticize me in a way that makes me feel like I'm a piece of garbage. Criticize me in a way that you're trying to help me grow and not trying to put me down. It's two different ways of criticism, right? Now, if people are very emotional in heart, they take everything as south. But at times you have to learn to grow up. It's okay. Time to grow up, to put the big boy pants on, as they say, and to take it as it is and own, I made a mistake in A, B, C, and D. Or even if you didn't do a mistake. Now that you're married, certain things make him uncomfortable and certain things make you uncomfortable. Pet peeves, right? That's the way we call it, right? 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 Like it's. I spoke about. It's the ick. So when I got married, my wife told me I have certain pet peeves that I really don't like, and I told her, okay, I also have certain set of pet peeves. Now, we wrote it down. Why? Because if you're gonna say it, it's gonna be like a rat game. Oh yeah, this bothers you. Okay, you know what? This also bothers me. And who's winning? Nobody. So we wrote it down like human beings until today. Till today, sometimes she's, I don't like that you started to do this. It bothers me. Okay, it bothers you. Okay, right, continue. I won't do it again. Listen, I'm not talking about chas shalom, anything bad, certain things, just don't like. That's called working together. Now, unfortunately, here's the problem. You ready to hear? I'll tell you what the problem is. People will not live that kind of life unless they themselves start to desire it. So as much as you go to all these marriage shiurim and have the best chatan and kala teacher, which even they, all of them have to go to Gehinnom if you ask me, but we're not going to get there right now. And straight up. Why? Because 90% of them have a crow marriage and they're giving advice
Yeah, but you said
how to live a normal life, and they end up with so many problems, and they can't help, but they're doing it because they want to make some money on the side. Doesn't go this way. I'm sorry.
But why all of them have to go? If only 90% of them.
We'll talk about it at a different time, publicly. I'm not hiding anything, publicly. But right now it's not the right time. Person that's a chatan teacher has to understand the purification of a marriage. It's not only about the halachas of nida. That any idiot can take a book and learn it. And ask a question when you have a question. You have to learn about what is marriage. What is the concept behind it? Why does it even exist? Why do we even need it? What's the purpose of it? What's the benefits of it? And so on and so forth. But they don't teach this. They give it in one rush class. They say, they sugar it up and they say, get married. And you're like, you get married, you're stuck. Like, this is not what my chatan or kala teacher told me. Oh my God, what am I doing? Yeah, because you never went to a real one.
Shouldn't those things be taught earlier? Like before?
Yeah, but they don't teach it. You want to know why? Because people are so infatuated with having sex that they forget the fact that you're going to have to live with the damn person for the rest of your life. So they're infatuated with having relations, and they think the highlight of the marriage is to be naked with another human being, not realizing that's the last thing you have to even be thinking about. That's not the first thing. That's the last thing. Because even donkeys do that. As a human being, you have to understand how to cope and live with another human being. But they don't teach that. Why? Because I don't know. People have problems. People have problems. It's a problem. It's a huge problem. I'm telling you. But we're not going to talk about this right now. It's not made for the right now, right? Any other questions? No? Next segment, you can ask anything you want. Doesn't have to be on topic.
Rabbi, do you think, can I ask now?
Go, no, I have something else to say. Go ahead.
Do you think for the longer that you date, whenever you're younger, you're less likely to get married?
What was the question?
It has nothing to do with anything.
Okay.
I know people that dated for years, they got married and they got divorced. I know people that dated for years, got married, and they still married. I know people that dated for a month or two, they got married, they got divorced. I know people that got dated for a month or two and they're still married. Depends on the person. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can date the person for 1,000 years. 1,000. Without exaggeration. But once you marry the person, it's a totally different ballgame.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because once you're married, you feel a sense of, I don't care.
Comfort, Rabbi, comfort.
It's not comfort. No. You're still not comfortable.
You are. Once
No. You're not married. Don't tell me yes. You're not married.
I'll tell you what I'm
Try
saying.
it. Wait. You feel a sense of, I don't care.
Comfort.
That I don't care feeling means I'm putting all my guards down and I'm introducing this person to someone totally different. He doesn't know this person now. This is a whole different human being. I never knew you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And you're like, well, you married me, you have to take the whole package. No, duh, Sherlock, I'm taking it. I'm taking the whole package. But the question is there the problem is there's no self-respect. You have to understand, you're married to a person, you also have to respect. You cannot, love doesn't happen. Respect happens. From respect comes love. Not old-fashioned respect. I'm not talking about that. Like that's primitive lifestyle. That's not respect. That's control. It's two different things. Control and respect is two different things. Right? There is a sense of control. You have to do this for me, and that's my respect. That's not what I'm talking about. That's called there's certain mental issues that the person has to go through, and both man and female, you'd be surprised what I've been hearing lately. It's obnoxious, it's crazy, and it's very weird. But in the other hand, this is something that needs to be spoken about and talked about and introduced nicely and calmly. And if need be, therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy. It's totally healthy. You're not crazy. You need outside help. It's good to get it. But you know when it clicks? You know when the marriage becomes beautiful? When you put your ego down. That's when it becomes perfect.
But when
1 second, I didn't finish.
Okay.
When the ego goes down, automatically what happens? I'm investing everything for her, and automatically she's investing everything for me. Why is that important? Because until the ego was down, everything I'm doing, I'm investing for who? Myself. And everything that she's investing for is herself. Now, I cannot please myself 100%. Because as a human being, I want someone else to please me. I'm not talking about physically, I'm talking about emotionally. So automatically when I do it to her and she does it to me, I'm getting a 10 times more satisfaction, even though it's much less of how much I would do for myself. Why? Because I'm getting it from the other partner. And that becomes a perfect marriage. Perfect doesn't mean you don't fight. That's not perfect. Perfect means understanding, and at the end of all demonigi that happens, you can still go to sleep together, be happy, smile, and say we had a fallout, and we have to work better. It's okay, it happens. Those people that say we never fought in our life, it's not only it is or it's not, it doesn't make a difference. It's not a marriage that you want. It's not something you want. It's too dull. It's disgusting. Fallouts happen all. I see it with my Rebbe and his wife sometimes. Not arguments, what you think. Little small fallouts if it's on the phone. And it's funny to see because you look at them like angels, and then suddenly you see their human side, and I love it. You know why I love it? Because it shows me how even more of an angel he is. Why? Because he's human.
Yeah.
He's human being. It's normal. It's normal. Why are we scared of it? You know why we're scared of it? Because we remember what happened to us in our childhood. How they didn't know how to calm down and become back normal. The fight would last for a day or 2, 3, or Shabbat from Shabbat. I know couples like that. They're only peaceful for 24 hours, not even, and then they're back to the whole thing for the whole week. They're all fighting again. Why? They didn't grow up. You have to learn this week's parasha. That's what they have to do. They have to learn from yourself. That every challenge and everything that happens to your life is for your benefit. Everything that you can imagine is for your benefit. Any other questions before I go to the second segment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Where do you draw the line between being humble and being in Russian it's called podvolution?
In English.
I know. He whipped. That's what he meant.
What is the word?
Under the
heel.
under the heel, meaning like she's trampling on you.
Like a pushover?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it actually
Walking all
means.
over
In modern language, it's called whipped. I had to teach that to a therapist that I was learning. I was talking to him, and we talked about this. Very famous therapist, and I said that the new word is whipped, and he laughed. But okay. I'll tell you. You ready to hear? I'll tell you. Are you talking on the men's side or on the woman's side?
Let's do both.
Let's do both. We'll do the woman's side first. What does a woman need b'teva in her nature?
Validation. To receive attention. Validation.
Everything.
True, men also need everything, but what? Don't do these things. Stop.
We're very
No.
simple.
Shut up.
Truth. Am I wrong?
Shh, don't talk too much. You're gonna break my camera. What did you say? What do women b'teva, their nature? What do they need?
Nature,
Yeah.
food, water.
I tell you what women
Emotional
need.
support.
Listen, I tell you what women need.
Bread.
They need to be noticed. That's all they need.
What does that mean?
I'm gonna explain to you. There are men, every time their wives do their nails, every time, they'll never notice it. Ever.
Ooh, it's a big deal.
There are men that shh, don't get emotional. You're getting excited. Calm down. There are men that even before the woman is going to do her nails, he's paying for it. He's on top of it. He notices it. Now, that's what they like that. It's a tease, right? I'm sorry for using this mashal, but I have to, right? A dog, right? A dog. How do you know when the dog is doing right? How come he continuously does good habits?
When you give him
You always
affection.
give it a treat, right? Humans are the same thing. Anytime you give a sense of compliment for something positive that you like, they constantly do it. I told one of my students, right? He wanted his wife to not wear a wig, to drop her wig and to only wear mitpachat. He said, how do I do it, Rabbi? I always tell her when she wears her wig, she looks 50-50. I said, that's the wrong way of doing it. You're doing it exactly the opposite. How do you have to do it? Every time she wears a mitpachat, you have to give a compliment. Every time she wears her wig, you don't have to insult her. You don't have to insult. Insults don't work.
Because don't say anything.
You don't have to say anything. The dress looks beautiful on you. Your makeup looks nice. Your shoes are nice. Don't mention anything about the wig. She wears a mitpachet. The second she wears it, get involved. Wow, I like this. Match this. That. Oh, wow, I should do that? I'm a man. No, but you want something out of it. No, you idiot, right? So this is the way you do it, right? That's number one. Women want to feel that they exist. They're noticed. They cook, they clean, they take care of the kids. They also work and make money. They do everything. When was the last time, you have to ask yourself, that I went and I validated everything that she does? She wants to be noticed. That's what women want. That's in their nature. Stop. Men. What do men want?
Respect.
Men just want one thing. Just one thing. Only one. They want respect.
Simple. See?
Very simple.
See? She's from my
Very
point.
simple. It's very simple.
That's what I said. You said I'm an
One
idiot.
second. I'm going to explain to you why it's not right now. For a man, it's all simple. For men, it's simple.
Feed them.
For a woman, it's not simple.
That's what I said.
Because they don't understand that concept. Why? Because they do everything without any sense of validation. So where's their respect? That's what they ask themselves. And a man is the exact opposite. He says, don't you see I'm over here? I'm a man. I do everything also. I'm the head of the household. How come I don't get validated? So each one wants what the other one has, and not knowing if they both do it, they both satisfy their own needs. That's what you guys don't understand. Why is it so difficult for this generation to understand this? You want to know why? Ego. I should give in? I should tell her? How about me? You're not understanding. If you do that, automatically, it's retroactively happens. But here's your question. You asked a good question.
That's the point.
No? He's saying, how about if it gets out of hand?
Like if you get
I'm doing it. Or she's doing it. But the person is mamash like a devil. A wall. He doesn't or she doesn't understand how to reciprocate. Right? Reciprocate. My wife taught me that word actually. Reciprocate. Yeah, we all went through challenges in life. So I'm not embarrassed to say it. I know, I'm so happy I can say it. Why? Because I passed that stage. That stage is history. Right? You have to learn how to reciprocate. What's reciprocate?
give back.
Communication. You have to learn to talk and to say, you need to work on A, B, C, and D. And if that doesn't work, then you have to go get counseling. I'm not joking with you.
How do you start that conversation? Do you want to go to a therapist? She's gonna think our relationship is bad.
Yeah, it's bad. No, don't lie, it's bad. Our relationship is bad.
So a woman can't handle the truth. What do you do then?
No, so there's a way how to represent it. Representation is key. I'm gonna have to say this. If you know how to represent something properly, automatically, you can get anything done. For example, can I give you an example? Let's say you see a girl, not a girl, let's say your wife, your girlfriend, whatever, I don't know where everyone's stages in life is, right? She doesn't look good at that dress. She wears that dress, she thinks she looks like
An angel.
angel. She really looks like the Amavet. That's the angel she looks like, right? How do you get her off? How do you make her she should change her dress?
Take that ugly thing
Don't
off.
comment on
You
it.
see? So what is a man gonna say? Take that ugly thing off. You look like a oompa loompa, right? Right? That's not the way to do it.
What is?
Because not only she's not gonna take it off, you just ruined the whole move. So how do you do it?
You don't say anything. You,
Tell her.
No, you do say something.
you don't give a compliment.
No.
Okay, what do you say?
Yeah. You have to be a chacham. What's a chacham? I think this dress would look better on her.
What if she says
I
no,
think this
don't
color
like it?
doesn't match you right now. Maybe use a different color. Maybe I like this one.
So
Maybe we should match. That's what they want. I know for you it's stupid. It's for me stupid too. But let me tell you something. This is what works. This is what
What
works.
if you-
So why wouldn't I use it? Or because my ego, right?
Right.
So put your ego to the bathroom, throw it in and flush. Habibi, flush. Why? Because it's better to be happy in life than to say that you're right. Because you're not right. Because you're right only in one half of the coin. The other half of the coin you're wrong. Not knowing that you guys are the same thing. So why to do that?
What if she doesn't change it?
Okay, she doesn't change it.
No, then it's trash. Change it. It's
No,
ugly.
no. So there's ways how to do it. She's not gonna not change it. There's ways how to do it. Habibi, there's ways how to do it.
It's not a therapy session. Robert.
It is. Your whole marriage is a therapy session. The whole thing. The whole thing, from the beginning till the end. And if you're not going to be a good psychologist for yourself, you're going to be stuck. You're going to be living a miserable life. Marriage is the greatest and the happiest thing in the world if you marry the right person.
100%.
I have to add something to that. If you are a good person, that's how you'll have a good marriage. If you're not a good person, that it's only about you, then you're not in marriage, you're narcissistic. You're not meant to have a life and to be a narcissist. You understand? That's it. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
What was this? What was that look?
You said yeah, you scram it out. I'm just
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Let's say somebody's dating, right? Not really married. How much do you really owe your partner at that stage?
I don't understand your question.
Like, you know how, like, for your wife, like, you're supposed to, like let's say you're
If you're dating someone, you don't owe her anything.
What do you mean?
Nothing. She doesn't owe you anything, and you don't owe her anything.
So you go talk to other people if you want?
No, that's not what I said. I never said that. You said what do I owe her? You didn't say do I have to be exclusive.
Let's say
It's
I'm
two
at
different
work.
things.
Let's say I'm at work and she asks me to come back home.
No, I'm at work. I'm at work. You see, this. You know how a person becomes
Whipped?
whipped?
Yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah.
That's how a person becomes whipped. When a person devalues himself and makes himself into a rag, you make her used to that this man is a rag. So I just do like this, and he's running back. That's why I hate long-term dating. I hate it. It's disgusting. It's very bad.
But what's long term?
more than 6 months is a huge problem. Huge problem. Because things happen that shouldn't happen. What does that mean?
Sexually?
Well, can I ask you a question? When you're going to be married, right? And I know this happens to married men. You just don't know them. And he's at work. Rav Asher, he's at work. She calls him, I need you home right now. I'm at work, habibi. I'm working. I don't care. Come home.
No.
That's easy for you to say.
What's the
That's
reason?
easy for you. There's no reason. Come home, I need you.
No.
You know why you're saying no? I'll tell you why.
There's no reason.
So there's 2 reasons. If you marry someone that's not a nag and you know that she's not stupid in the head and if she's calling me it's serious, you'll drop it and go.
If it's serious.
But if you know that every time she's bored or she feels alone or lonely or depressed every single day, then that's a problem. And you're laughing. It happens to 90% of women. That every day there's another show with the house. And that is because it's your fault. You put that standard in the house. Yeah, I always blame the men. Always. I'll tell you why. Because a man is a koach gavra. Vehu yishlot ba. What does that mean? And he will guide her. He will guide her by what he puts down. Now, I'm not telling you to treat her like a dog. I never said that. You have to treat her better than you treat yourself, as the Rambam says.
Well,
But there also needs to be standards and rules. The rule is that there are certain priorities and certain things that need to be done. And I can't be a person that's flying from one side of the world to the other side of the world to cater to your boredom. Do you understand? That's the difference. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Long-term dating is a disaster. Disaster. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not good. I'm telling you from personal experience. It's not good. If you're meant to marry the person, you're going to marry the person. I promised you. If you're not meant to marry the person, you're not going to marry it. And the only thing you lose is your childhood, is your money, is your happiness, and you're locked down. There's no point of it. There's no point of it. Experience your age, experience who you are. And when you're ready to get married, you go on a shidduch or you go on a date, you get set up and you get married. Before that, don't look at it as like some fantasy land. It's not a fantasy land. I don't know, who wants the responsibility of taking care of a girl or a guy at such a young age? So stupid. If you're not married, why would you want that? I tell you what the problem is. Can I tell you? Misery seeks misery. That's what it is. What does that mean? When a person feels unheard, and this is going to answer your question, he finds someone or she finds someone that's going to hear them. So before dating, before getting married, they're on the phone all the time, they're texting, they're connected, they're spending time together, their emotional needs are getting met, right? It's good. Suddenly when they get married and now it's time to work, it's time to start a family, that emotional need is not getting met anymore. So what happens? Everyone is being mitparped. Everyone's not happy. And who's the cause of that? You.
So how do you fix it if you're reading that? What?
That's a private question already. Every case is different, every girl is different, every guy is different. I'm not joking with you. It's not so simple. It's not. Because this is, you want to hear her Tana? If we're married, I'm supposed to be his first priority. If I'm his first priority, he has to cater to my needs. If he has to cater to my needs when I need him, he has to come. What do you answer to such a person?
I didn't sign up to this.
You didn't sign up for this, but you created this. That's the difference. You created it by not putting boundaries before you started dating. So who's to blame? So then how can you say you didn't sign up for it if you created it? That's it. When you do it, you have to start it right. You can't start it wrong. Because if you start it wrong, for example, I'll give you another example, right? You ready? A guy that likes to chill. He loves to chill. Loves it. He gives her attention that she needs while they're dating. They're dating for a long time. Suddenly they get married. What, do you think he's going to be there 24/7 for her?
No.
She knows he likes to chill. You think he's going to change overnight? Oh, bye-bye, friends. I'm married now. Anna, he's gonna do to her. He's still gonna chill every night, get drunk, go out with friends. And then when he needs her, he's gonna remember he has a wife at home. Because the habits didn't break. I'm gonna change him, you're not gonna change him. Marriage is not a kiruv case.
Amen.
Don't look at it that way. If you look at it that way, you're heading for a divorce.
Amen.
Marriage is real business. Real. That's why I said when you're going out, you don't owe each other anything. You have to be as selfish as possible. What am I gaining out of this relationship? What am I gaining from this man or from this woman? If that's not in your head, you're in big trouble. Huge trouble. That's my personal advice. Okay, let's go to the next segment. You ready? Should we have any questions today? You're quiet tonight.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
How does one know what standards he wants to set? There's so many standards.
That's a problem. That's why, first of all, you should hear my dating series.
On YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Now, it's on this channel actually. You just gotta go and find the dating series, right?
No,
I'm thinking of doing a new one for next
that's
year.
The first
I know I skipped 2 years, but I think I'm gonna do a new one because I see a lot of other things. I'm gonna answer your question. You can't start dating until you know yourself. You must know yourself. What does that mean? You must know what you're looking for. You know those guys or girls that go out with, I don't know, let's say 4 or 5, right? And each one are totally different. Totally different backgrounds, total different life goals. At this point, they just want to get married to anyone. That's a problem. Those are unstable, emotionally and physical human beings. That's a huge issue. So you have to first ask yourself, you have to sit your tuchas down. I'm not joking with you. You gotta sit down. If you're a man, go through a mikvah before, read Tehillim. You have to sit down and you have to say, what am I looking for in my life? What kind of life do I really want? You gotta ask yourself this. Until you don't know what kind of life you really want, you're just gonna play hokey pokey the whole time. It's not worth it.
But then how do
Be
you
a
go
master key that can open up any lock. What does that mean? If you're dating a certain set of girls, you know you are compatible with them. Why? Because I have the same life goals as them. I just have to see if we're compatible in midot. If I find the person attractive. If we can, chemistry, which I don't believe in, but whatever, we'll talk about that different, right? But if you're right now worried, what kind of life does she want to have, and what kind of thing? You started from square one. That means now when you're gonna have to get married, it's a kiruv case, and that's not marriage.
What is cute?
Kiruv case is like
Bring them closer.
yeah, it's a whole mission. You know, you're trying to make her into what you want. You know, trying to convince her, and she's trying to do the same thing to you. You guys are both fighting the same war about 2 different people. It's very idiotic. It's chaval on your life. Don't do that to yourselves. Know what you want before you start dating. You must know what you want. If not, you're gonna be miserable.
So why do people think they can change others?
Because they're dumb.
I
That's a
agree.
good way to put it.
I agree.
This is truth. This is the truth class. Uncensored. They're dumb. They're stupid. Are there cases that it happens? Yes. But why to go through all those first 10, 15 years of that kind of hustle and bustle? For what you need that? For your kids to see how you guys always ate each other alive? So what? One day you can say in front of the table, in front of your kudo, I changed my husband? Who the hell wants to hear that? Huh? Who wants to hear that? I changed my husband, right? Belittling your husband on the table. Who wants that?
I wonder if it was meant to be. Hashem wanted to be like that.
You're right, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Hashem card. No.
Backhand.
Hashem doesn't want that.
All of a sudden she started saying kaif.
Right? No, Hashem doesn't want that. No, Hashem
That
doesn't
person
want
married the
that.
wrong
That was the
person.
decision that you made.
Yeah, see?
There's free choice.
Machloket.
Rabbi, I think the
Never
question,
know.
What?
You never know. Maybe he puts their.
Listen, I wanna explain something to you. Avada, of course, if you marry the person, that's the person that Hashem wants you to marry. But you had a choice beforehand. You did.
I agree with
And as much as you're gonna go and play the God card, you only do that because you have no choice at all. So that's why we use the God card. But in reality, you had a choice. You could have picked different. You could have picked something. You could have first figured out yourself, but you were mahmadono, as they say. You were all hormonic, and you decided to do a stupid decision, and now you have to live with it. It's just fact. But this is what you don't understand. Are you willing to live with that pain until you get to the right point where you want to get to, or not? Because 70% break on the way.
In marriage, when you're already married?
They break. The ones that don't marry their ideal partner, that not in looks, not what I'm talking about,
Not looks.
not looks, but ideology, they break on the way. They break. They manage to break. I never understood how a couple could go on vacation, the guy's eating not kosher, and the girl is trying to find a Chabad house to eat kosher. What the flippin' hell is that?
Straight up.
What kind of crap is that? How do you live with such a person? She's running to find the mikvah to dip for Nida, and he says, "K'taib ya mikvah ni mikvah. Oh, it's all good. Just take a shower. The water is cleaner." Seriously, how do you live with such a person? How is your kids gonna come out? They're gonna become retarded. How are you gonna raise your children? Oh, we were raised like that. You're in a different generation. You think you're gonna come out normal? You're gonna come out You're not gonna be normal. You think your kids are gonna become normal? We don't think this. Why? Because we're infatuated with Hollywood love. He's my Prince Charming. He's so pretty. He's so beautiful. What are you gonna do with that pretty? Can I explain to me? What the heck are you gonna do with that pretty? Absolutely nothing. Zero. Absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's there one day, it's not there the next day, now you're suffering for the rest of your life. Because you decided to make a choice that has nothing to do with seichel, with logic, and it had to do with your heart. And people don't understand this. It doesn't get registered in their brain. I don't know why. I'm flabbergasted how people could be so brainless. But I invested so... I have to finish with this. I'm not going to go into the second segment. We already... How long is it recording?
Hour and almost 10 minutes.
Oh, Shem Yerachem. Listen. Let's say a person dated someone for 10 years. And after 10 years, they realize we don't have the same...
That's crazy.
Listen, we don't have the same life goals. We just don't. But I can't break up with a person. Why? I invested 10 years. How can I do such a thing? 10 years is? That's a whole lifetime. You don't even remember anything 10 years ago. That's a lifetime, right? That's a lifetime. Let me break it to you.
They're married.
It's better to break that relationship now than live 40 years of misery. Because you're not looking at the future. You're looking at the past that is never going to come back. Drop it like it's hot and get something better. Because the next 40 years that you're going to have to be living,
Worse.
you're going to want to hang yourself that you made that decision. Hang yourself. Why? Because even though you lost 10, you don't want to burn another 40. And people don't get this in their head because they're looking at what left and not what is coming. Yosef, this week, he appreciated everything that happened to him.
Wow, connected.
Everything. If you can be like Yosef and take everything for the positive, but you have to have such a koach pnimi, you have to be such a mentally strong human being, which I don't think any of us are here, to be so mentally strong that regardless what punch comes his way, he'll look at it for the positive. I'm not talking about in regular life, I'm talking about in marriage, right? Don't take the risk. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Any final questions? I wanted to get into Shovavim, but next week. Anything? Baruch Adonai Leolam.
Amen.